Welcome to the Mountain Dude Podcast, brought to you by Initial Ascent, where we share stories of grit, determination, and the relentless pursuit of growth. This is a space where backcountry hunting meets the deeper lessons of life. Success born from struggle, and the art of carrying heavy loads more comfortably, both physically and metaphorically, through faith and perseverance. Join us as we explore the paths that shape us, celebrate victories big and small, and fuel our journey with hope and tenacity. This is the Mountain Dude Podcast, where we climb higher together.
For like the first time ever, he's like, "Oh, we brought Denim Dave." That's like his first words to him.
A lot of times when I had done hunts when we worked at the outfitting place in Colorado, when I was first kind of cutting my teeth in the film, there would be, you get a lot of high-class guys. They're lawyers, doctors. They're coming in to do these hunts. So I'm the icebreaker. I'm like, am I big spoon or little spoon for the room that we're staying in? And then you immediately get a reaction. You're like, that's going to let me know how the rest of this week is going to go filming this guy.
Yeah.
And they either go with it and they laugh, or they think I'm completely serious and get all homophobic. I'm all, it's going to be fine. But usually I can break them down by the end of it. And the goal is, like, when you're filming and doing stuff, you have to be the goofiest person in the room to make everyone else feel more comfortable.
Makes sense.
So I was always just like, Dave, what's going on?
That was, literally like his first words to my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's classic.
It was in the dark.
My dad's like, who is this guy? Keep in mind, too, my dad before this is like, I ain't going on that hunt if you're bringing a camera crew. By the end of it, he's like, oh, they can come hunt with me anytime.
That's awesome.
Inviting us out to goose hunt.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a good dude.
Mountain Dude Podcast. We are back. I'm Chris Young. I'll have you guys introduce yourself as well so the audience can hear your voice with the name.
Oh, yeah. Dennis Stokes.
Joe Elliston.
And we have a very special guest, Clint Easley. Welcome to the Mountain Dude Podcast.
This is Clint Easley's voice. Just so you guys know. I wish there was some way to do like a transfer for voice modulation so I could have Dennis's voice of thunder, but I'll stick with what I got. I've been blessed with a nice, calm,
radio
voice.
That's right. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, we start every podcast off the right way with a prayer. Joe, do you mind praying for us today, Joe?
I'd love to. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for another day here. Just thank you for the friendships here at this table, the stories that have been shared, and the opportunities you present. Bless our time together today, bless our conversation, and open up the doors as you see fit. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Clint, welcome.
Probably would have brushed my hair. You told me I was going to be taking my hat off.
I told you to look.
I remember those days.
I'm just joking.
Dennis got his done.
They make wigs now.
We were talking about, how Chris was growing his hair out, and, I'm in the middle of all this great hair. What happened?
Was it stress?
Probably.
You started Initial Ascent.
Might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That probably gets the hair loss going a little bit.
You lose it up top, you gain it other places. It grows from one color to another.
Mom's side or dad's side, genetically, where the guys are going bald?
Ah, man, dad's side for sure. Yep.
Okay.
My mom's side, her dad had a head full of hair. And I just missed the boat on that one.
Well, the perk with the whole bald head was even when you lost the pack building challenge, sorry to bring that up, but when you had to shave everything, we couldn't tell.
No, we couldn't.
I know. I don't have eyebrows much either.
Yeah.
But I really didn't after that deal.
And
Thanks, Cody.
You strain hard enough, I think your mustache will come back. So it worked out good for you.
There's some phenomenal tattoo artists. We could put a mullet on you. So
Oh, man. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just see you at a trade show with a tattooed mullet.
I've always said that, God put... What's the old saying where, God only made a few perfect heads. The rest he put hair on.
You're not wrong, because when I buzzed my hair one time, my wife said I looked like a turtle. So I'm not
funny. A turtle.
Let that hair go away anymore.
I'm probably more like a wet cat, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, funny.
Well, for the audience today, I want to kind of get a peek behind the curtain of Clint as a person and a hunter. We're going to talk about deer hunt that he had in 2024. They're putting together a film for that. It's going to be really cool. We will tell you where you can find that because this is going to be launched after that. Clint, first and foremost, you said you are a filmmaker, right? And a hunter.
Yeah,
second.
I've been filming for 15 years.
Yeah.
Self-taught YouTube.
Okay. I love it. YouTube's great. But we're going to get into the filmmaking side in a separate podcast. We're going to kind of focus on you as a hunter and that film today.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit, who is Clint Easley?
Oh, man. I don't even know where to start with that. I went to school for architecture, finished up architecture, got a degree, got hired before I actually graduated. And then when I was doing architecture, I did that for, I want to say 7 or 8 years out of college. And I just hit a plateau one day where we were working on beautiful homes, working in Beverly Hills, kind of weasel my way up through the grapevine doing that. And the last place where I was working, I just got like we're working on Ellen DeGeneres' house, Cameron Diaz's house, designing beautiful homes, but there was some like missing ingredient. So diving into kind of my story of camera work, my father, after the Air Force, he went and worked on the pipeline in Alaska and bought a old Minolta camera, and he got into taking some photos, and he used to take the do you guys remember the what do you call them, like the slides? You put them in the little projector.
Oh yeah.
Spits them onto the wall.
Yeah.
He'd show me and my sister those when we were little, and I just thought that was so cool. So I was like, man, maybe I'll pick up a camera. Dad did photos. I need something to fill this missing gap in my life. Architecture's going good, but there's like the passion is kind of fading. So I just picked up a camera and just consumed YouTube videos, and I just wanted to get good at photography. That was the initial start to how I even got into camera work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
How did I not know that you were designing houses for Hollywood stars? When you said Beverly Hills, I'm like, California?
I was on that was kind of on the tail end of the architecture stuff because I lived in Orange County, so I started working down in Santa Ana, worked for a small firm, and then just somehow weaseled my way up, had a unique opportunity. This guy was looking for someone. We had a really talented French architect in the office, and then Scott Mitchell Studios, the specific. We do mostly custom residential designs, but Scott would travel all over. We were doing houses in Melbourne, Australia, Bali, Indonesia, the Hamptons, and he just did phenomenal custom homes. But one of our main clients was Sandy Gallon. And Sandy Gallon used to be Michael Jackson's manager.
Oh, wow.
So he got his money started and then started to do real estate development. So he'd buy these beautiful old 70s, 80s estates, get them at a reasonable price, and then come in and we just gut them and completely remodel them into these nice new extravagant homes because the market in Beverly Hills, as you know, is the money doesn't matter. When somebody wants this place, somebody will pay for it.
Yeah.
And what was kind of the main style back then that you guys were doing?
Man, that's very modern. I'd say modern style. Not like, what would you say? Not like gaudy gold modern, but more like
Mid-century modern.
Mid-century-ish modern. Use lots of natural materials, beautiful woods, old barnwood materials, board-in-place concrete walls. We did this one. It was a property adjacent to Cher's place in Malibu for a gentleman named Cher. You know Cher. Cher with hair.
Oh, my word.
Yep. So she lived in Malibu, and just to the south of her on the coastline, a developer named Kurt Rappaport, he actually sold one of his homes to Tom Cruise. That was the last project we worked on, and we had like this entire plant oasis on top of the roof. So when you drive on the highway on PCH, you just pretty much look and see vegetation and ocean, and the house was just like very tastefully designed to stay kind of under the radar. But it was an Architectural Digest. It was cool.
My wife's going to geek out over this podcast.
I got to have some fun and just kind of fell into a really unique opportunity getting to work with some super talented designers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How many years did you do that?
I want to say it was 7 to 8 years. I have a hard time remembering specifically. I think it was about 7 or 8 years climbing that ladder.
And
now I'd probably be doing really good if I had stayed in architecture. Now I'm in the media business. We know it's like a starving artist type of business, but the architecture was fun. I enjoyed it. I cut my teeth in that and really got, you'd satisfy your OCD. You're working with clean lines, and I think some of that applied into my photography. So I started obviously shooting some real estate photos. It's like, we're designing a house. Can I go in and shoot it?
So this was right after the crash then, the housing crash.
So 2000, was it 2008?
8. Yeah.
So 2008, when I was working at one of the firms,
Okay.
they ended up needing to downsize. It's like, man, we got to cut some costs. So if they cut my medical, my dental, the deal was I could work from home. So I got to experience what freelance felt like.
Okay.
And they're like, as long as you get the work done, we'll give you the work. You work on your own hours. So I could work at 2 a.m. I could work at 12 in the afternoon. And then I grabbed a different job. I was like a service bartender for Hillstone Group, which they've got a bunch of beautiful restaurants in Orange County, Irvine area. And I would do the service bartending. I would do the architecture. And then I met my girlfriend at the time, my wife Jules now, and she was doing catering. And so she introduced me to like, hey, you should try to do some of this stuff on the weekends. And you'd start out serving a tray of champagne, right? You're walking around, and I've never carried a tray of champagne before. I don't even know how to walk down a set of stairs with this. So I got in her living room in her apartment, and she filled glasses up with water just so I could walk around, like figure out how in the world to carry it till you build your confidence.
Yeah.
So did you have to like sashay or something?
What
across the floor?
Oh, you had to have a little strut, nice little strut. I dropped my left hand turkey wing, and then the other one I just like.
So is the bartending where your comedy came into effect, or
it kind of tied in? So I'm beating around the bush with a little bit long story. So start with architecture.
Yep.
2008 we had a recession. I go into doing architecture freelance, getting a taste of what that's like, service bartending, and cramming my weekends with, hey, let's do these catering events.
Okay.
And the catering events were kind of funny because the first one I ever did was like a bat mitzvah. Crazy kids running around all over, DJ, like haze machines and wild music. And all I had to do was walk around with some hors d'oeuvres. You go back to the kitchen, chef gives you another plate, take it back out. But they paid me $35 an hour. I was like, $35 an hour, walk around with a tray of food?
Dang.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So over time, doing the catering while doing the service bartending and doing architecture, I had no kids. So we were living pretty comfortable. We'd bought a townhouse after we got married together. And I just started kind of like getting my foot in the door more, partially from the architecture and working in these fancy homes. I wanted to do the catering more to see the architecture so I could get into these beautiful places. And I'm like, ooh, I like the baseboards on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at the roof pitch. Oh, there's something this guy bought from France and used it as a big clock in his hallway.
Yeah.
After doing all that and messing around with photography as a hobby on the side, these events, I started talking to the event producers. I said, hey, could I take photos of your event before they start? Because you obviously need to have something marketable. And you would spend, I don't know, let's say it's 5 days to set up an event for a 4-hour party, and it's 2 days to break it down. These people just come in, have a good time, and they don't really think about like how much crazy work goes into it. Same with the media business, right? It's like you make a film, people don't realize you're filming hours to just make minutes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so they gave me access. They're like, yeah, we'd love for you to photograph it. So I ran a little real estate photography experience, started shooting some event spaces, and then that built my portfolio to then there'd be like a random celebrity person at the party, and then I got to shoot different people's, wedding receptions, or then I started shooting bat mitzvahs. I just randomly communicating with different folks.
Yeah.
So as I started to get decent at it, I went on a hike one day in Hollywood, and I had a buddy who wanted some headshots. I was like, well, let's go take some pictures outdoors. I'm tired of the studio headshot stuff. So we go hiking up this mountain, and I just remember we get to this high point, and this is Runyon Canyon for those of you that haven't been to Los Angeles. It's kind of like it's a hip spot to go hike, get your morning exercise, but it's right near Hollywood Boulevard.
Okay.
And we go to do the headshots. We get up to this viewpoint, and there's people walking on this ridgeline with bags of concrete on their shoulders. And I was like, hey, tap the guy's shoulder. I was like, what are you guys doing? And they were building, they said they were building a base footing for a prayer box. And it's kind of a unique story, like tying into the prayer to start this thing off. The guy's wife, her name was Jeannie, she wanted to do just a really cool community thing where you take a prayer box. Then I don't know if it started with a shoe box, a little wood box, but you put something that's on your mind you want somebody to pray about in there, and then you take one and pray for the other person.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That's cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
really unique.
The problem was somebody kept taking the prayer box away. There's always that one person that doesn't agree with that mindset. She was just trying to do a cool thing in the community. So they're all... Today we're bringing bags of concrete and we're building this legit foundation. And we have a guy that they knew from Cupcake Wars, some TV show, who welded. So he was going to weld them this big, cool steel prayer box. So they were getting it prepped for that. Well, I got a camera in my hand. You guys want me to take some pictures of you? I'll just edit them. I'm going to be taking headshots. I'm already going to be behind the computer. And I happen to have a little backpack with a piece of paper and a pen. So I just wrote my email down. I was like, here you go. And Freddie, the guy that was married to Jeannie, he's like, oh, wow, thank you. So emails me a week later asking how the pictures turned out. I sent them over to him, and I was looking at his email signature, and it said HollywoodHunter.com. And, of course, I grew up deer hunting with my dad. It was like the one thing we would do for a week, dudes together, bonding time. But I didn't, I wasn't a heavy-duty hunter by any means.
Was this in California?
This is in California at the time.
So you'd hunt deer in California growing up?
No, and I didn't even know you could hunt animals to the north part of California either.
Okay.
But I see this HollywoodHunter.com. I click on it, and the dude is holding this 200-inch beautiful velvet mule deer buck. And I grew up if I could shoot a 3x2,
right.
I was tickled pink to have that happen. I'm like, honey, come look at this deer this guy just shot. And that's all it is. It's like website coming soon. There was no information.
Okay.
So I'm like, what in the world is going on here? So I, of course, emailed the guy back like, hey, I don't mean to be all stalkery about this, but I would really like to,
do you
want to be my friend?
So that can
we be buddies? Because I don't know anybody that hunts in the state of California. I'm working around people for architecture and doing catering events. Those people don't talk about hunting.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's grab a barbecue lunch somewhere. So I sat down, picked his brain, and come to find out he was starting a hunting show on Sportsman Channel.
Okay.
And the alignment was his wife, Jeannie, had a show on TV. She was connected with camera guys and things. So he was like, well, how can I find a way to adapt being a hunter living in California with my wife? But then they had a ranch in Colorado. So he was trying to intertwine filming with his lifestyle. So he would travel out to his ranch and film some of these hunts. So he had a whole season's worth of content already in the hard drive from two older gentlemen that had, I think, helped film that to get him off the ground. I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to film a dang thing. I can take a few pictures, but whatever I can do to get my foot in the door, I would just be super grateful. I want to learn. This is so cool. And then it just helped me to expand on the camera side. So one of the guys that helped film that first season, his name was Tom Cartwright. I still remember. He lived in Oklahoma, and Freddie had given me his contact and said that he was going to be getting out of the media business. And I think he was one of the pioneer dudes that helped film hunting content, like your old tree stand stuff.
Yeah.
But he was a retiring game warden, and he's like, yeah, I'm selling a camera, and if you fly out to Oklahoma, I'll give you a 2 days crash course on how to operate one of these video cameras. So it was some big old obnoxious Canon at the time. And I talked to my wife, well, how much money we got in that bank account? And how much are you willing to let me spend on tech toys while I've got my other jobs? This is just a hobby at this point, right? She's like, if it's what you want to do, sure, go do it. So I'm booking a flight. Tom, I'm coming your way. And I flew out there, and he was teaching me how to take a tripod, how to mount a camera on a tripod. All this stuff is complete. I'm a novice to it. I'm just used to holding the camera and taking a picture, right? So we go out, and he takes me to a wild game farm with zebras, and there's not kudu, but impalas and weird animals, exotics running around. And he's like, just hop out of the truck and go over and practice setting the tripod up and film it. And then he'd tell me another button, or here's how this setting, here's your exposure. So I just started kind of taking notes as I was going. Got my 2-day crash course. We practiced an interview, what is an interview like and why is an interview important? Because I had no idea how to tell any sort of film story. So I come back. I've got this camera. I got some accessories from him. I'm like, dude, I'm a camera guy.
You're a camera guy.
And I go knocking on Freddie's door, and I was like, hey, you know that video camera you said that guy that was filming for you that was selling? I ended up buying that. He's like, no way, you did? It's like, I want to learn how to film this hunt show stuff. So we would just work in a coffee shop in LA at Coffee Bean specifically, and I would just sit down. He'd trying to coach me on the phone to talk to sponsors or do a follow-up call or anything I could do just to learn what it took to have a show on Sportsman Channel, because there's so many moving parts, as you guys know, supporting different folks that are on different TV shows. So I just got like little snippets of it, and I was scared to death getting on a phone call with somebody. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to talk to a human and ask them for free stuff or try to negotiate like, hey, we're going to be doing this hunt. We need a backpack, right? Like, I would have been terrified to call you guys back then because I just did not have that communication skill. I'm used to being behind a computer and doing architectural designs. So after a while, Freddie starts the hunting season. We did a launch party in Hollywood, and a bunch of sponsors came, and me being in the catering world, I'm like, dude, I can get the food. I can help you assemble this thing. We can make it kind of a cool launch party for your Sportsman Channel show. And Hollywood Hunter is what it was called. And then the season kicked off for, we need to document season 2. So we start trying to figure out dates. But the challenge is, I'm freelance, but you still have your commitments to the schedule. So I'm hitting this crossroads of how much time can I allot to go and learn to do the filming while trying to maintain the architecture stuff. And it just started to get to a point where it was a little too heavy. And I'm sitting with my wife. I'm all like, do I cash in this whole architecture career and just go both feet in to try to do this film gig? I really like it. Is the money great? Not so much, but I'm really passionate about it. This is like a dream come true to get to work on a TV show, right? Yeah. It's like what you think of when you're in Hollywood. Yeah. I never in a million years thought I'd ever do anything camera related like that. Right. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. Let's just do it. You only live once. I don't want to look back and be like, I could have stayed in the cubicle and doing the architecture stuff. I'm just going to give it all I got. So I jumped in, and it was turbulent as a camera guy trying to float around and film hunts. I'd been on enough with my dad where I at least got the gist of how to sneak through the woods and whisper. And I got to follow a different camera guy, the other camera guy that didn't retire, and kind of learn from him as we went along. So a few seasons go by, and then I kind of start moving my way up into being the A camera guy as people are shifting out. Okay. And then I would just shoot everything. Like 16-hour days was the normal, because as a camera guy, you got to get up before everyone to start filming all the activities, like making coffee, cooking all breakfast. You're telling the whole story of the whole process. And then after you're done filming for the day, I got to dump footage, back things up. Yeah. And then go to sleep and try to wake up and beat everyone again.
So is this what kind of started your passion for hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Or did that start as a child, like with your dad?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So starting as a child, I would say always been an outdoorsman through and through. My dad dressed me up as Rambo when I was like 2 years old. I got a hilarious picture you could even throw on this if you wanted to. If I can get it to you. You have a survival knife. But yeah, the knife and the canteen all camoed out. I love it. And I had this rad little pump BB gun. So I'd been introduced as an outdoorsman. My dad was, he was like, you're going to be my little Rambo child growing up. And I would just shoot starlings and float around, try to find rabbits, do whatever. So I loved the outdoors, but when I moved to California from Washington State, I didn't think that hunting was even going to be part of my lifestyle there.
So then when you go into the filmmaking side of it,
I'm reigniting this passion that I had, right? Yep. And I also every year would still do the deer hunt with my dad.
Okay. So you'd come back to Washington State every year and do a deer hunt with your dad still. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that was just
that's
a
like
fun
the
trip
once a year.
Forward to. I hope you get a deer. I didn't know enough to like check the wind. We're rookie hunters. We're just going out to have a good time. Yeah. Or an armed hike, as they say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hope you get something.
Yeah.
Were there several you guys?
Sorry, go ahead. No.
Were there several of you guys that would just meet up every year?
That was just me and my dad.
Just you and
Dad. Yeah. Like cool. Hot dogs and top ramen and a pan on the back of the tailgate. And he took me pheasant hunting and duck hunting as a boy. That was kind of the soft intro. And then it rippled into like, all right, let's hike up in the mountain and start taking the old frame. Remember like the garage sale frame packs?
Metal frames.
Aluminum. Don't miss that at all.
I probably still have it in storage somewhere, like the old pack. Okay. And so, getting to work with Freddie at this ranch reignited my like outdoorsman, that like scratched that itch, so to speak. Yeah. And I was hungry for it. And I would work as much as I could and consume as much info as I could. And that was the cool start is you have high-class people coming into the ranch. I've already worked with pretty high-class people in Beverly Hills, so I had the professionalism to not ooh and ah over who's there, but just keep it friendly, like we were talking about, cracking jokes just to like break the ice.
Yeah.
And we would specifically do a lot of elk and mule deer hunts, and then we would throw in a couple of maybe an international hunt and maybe an out-of-state hunt somewhere outside of Colorado. Because on Sportsman, I think at the time we had to have a minimum commitment of 12 episodes. That was what was negotiated. So when you have a ranch, it's a little bit of a perk because you can knock out a lot more content consistently when you're sleeping on the property.
Right.
And you're going out every day accumulating all that footage.
Yeah.
And as I was filming, eventually there was an opportunity for me to move from California back to Washington. So I knew I was going to be sacrificing a good chunk of my work in California, and Freddie gave me the opportunity to fill that gap in with more video hunting projects. I could travel more with him. And then the producer, I want to say we were like 6 or 7 seasons in at this point. The producer was ready to pivot and go do a career change, and that slot opened up. He was like, do you want to try to take a hack at producing the show? I have no idea how to do that, but I am hungry to learn.
All in.
Yeah. I'll go on YouTube and figure it out. So the producer guy actually, held my hand through the first year. He's like, you got any questions, call me up. I'll tell you how to talk to the network.
Right.
If you need to do this or need to do that, just know that you have me as an access point to get you off the ground. So
at this point, are you still going back and doing hunts on the hunts on your own with your dad?
That's it. Okay. So still doing just hunts with my dad and just filming hunts at the ranch in Colorado. It was called the Hartice Ranch specifically. It's in the south central part of the state of Colorado.
Okay.
So
what year is this roughly?
We are. What year are we in now? 2025 now. I think this was probably pushing, let's call it, probably about 2014-ish.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit earlier. 2010 is kind of when I really started to play around with the camera stuff.
So 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I was about 4 or 5 years in. We had quite a few seasons under our belt, and then producer opportunity rises.
Right.
So I was like, yep, so I want to try it.
So obviously, like, knowledge and stuff comes from experiences and being able to do those things. But you've talked about you used to only go back and hunt once a year with your dad. Do you feel like you gained a ton of experience from being on the other side of that?
Yeah, we actually started killing deer together. It was awesome.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, hey, Dad.
Because of stuff that you had experienced being a camera guy.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd be like, I'd come back and like, you follow me around. Let me show you a thing or two. We just killed this monster buck in Colorado last week. Now we're going to go and try to get one in Washington.
Okay, cool.
Eastern Washington's where we always hunted.
Yep.
In the town of Entiat, it's like we had a little family property. So that was our go-to spot. And yeah, it's like, I didn't remember I was saying how I didn't know how to check the wind, or we're just absolute novice deer hunters.
Right.
But I'd come back like, oh, we got to have the wind in our favor, and we need to loop around this, or you can't get spotted doing that. So I would just pick up those tips and tricks, and all of a sudden my dad and I are starting to get meat bucks, starting to fill the freezer up a little bit.
So your dad was good with this.
Oh, he was great with it, yeah. And he's proud. He's like, my son works on a TV show, and he'd strut around and tell some people, and he's like, he's filming and producing content.
That's cool.
So,
super cool.
It was kind of cool to see him get all hyped up about it.
Yeah.
And so I jump into the producer position, right?
Yep.
And then as I'm learning this production side of things, taking on that new level of responsibility, I'm just at the point where I probably took on too much work, and I'm feeling super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So we get a couple more camera guys so I can alleviate a little bit of the responsibility of not trying to film anything and everything and keeping up with the networks. And I had taken on helping to manage the hunts that get booked. So you got
everything.
I don't even know how many guys on the Excel spreadsheet that come in, and then I'm trying to help do invoices. I'm trying to write contracts for sponsors. I just wore a ton of hats. And part of it is I wanted to learn it just to say I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And then we had finally hit a crossroads. I think it was, we'll call it 2019. I'd always been pretty transparent that at some point I'd love to try to go out on my own and do my own thing. Right. So after a while, opportunity came up. Another production company was able to take over filming for that show, and it pivoted to a new name. I think we had done 8 seasons as Hollywood Hunter. We did 4 seasons as The Maverick. And then it turned into Stonewall the Outfitter, which was taken over by the Become One guys, which you guys may have heard of. They're a great production company. And so that was my opportunity to be like, all right, you got this production company can take over. I'd really like to go start my own thing. So 2020, I go get Revel Entertainment started. This is the brand I'm going to call it. Took inspiration of our logo from Yeti. I was like, I love the clean, simple, bold letters. Right. Black and white, you can't go wrong. It's a timeless color, right? Yep. And boom, COVID hits. Just like, you've got to be kidding me. And I didn't know what I was going to do, so I'm taking pictures of families on porches. I reached out to a couple construction buddies, like, hey, can I just like scoop gravel? Can I help you guys put, roofing material on? I need some ways to scrape through some funds right now because I don't know if this new business is going to make it. And I'm pushing hard on calls and like trying to set stuff up, but everyone's being very conservative because they don't know what their money's going to be doing, right?
Right.
Do you remember what you guys had happening in the middle of initial Ascent when COVID hit, or what kind of turbulence you went through?
Yeah, I remember we went dead for a month, and I forget what month it was, but it was just right when it first hit. It just went dead.
March, April.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to go outside.
Yeah.
It just picked back up, and we were
awesome.
like, here we go. This is okay.
I will say the big positive in COVID, obviously sales for the outdoor products, that's a huge plus. People had time to come up with ideas and come up with new business plans and get creative, and they're like forced to have to stay in their homes, right? Yeah. But for me, I was still able to film some hunts. So
during that time,
I was kind of freelance contracting and filming hunts where I could get them. And then I started to film for Hunt Masters. Copeland Creative, if you guys have ever heard of them. Okay. They gave me a very nice recommendation to film for Greg Ritz of Hunt Masters. So then I started to cut my teeth in freelancing for him, booking some season hunts. Now I got to experience what it's like to be on set with an extra camera guy, and we're cross-shooting everything, way more story-driven than capturing hunts as they happen. And I hadn't been exposed to that yet. So that's really where the learning to tell a good story started to develop versus just filming hunting to film hunts and then try to find clever ways to piece it together for an episode.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I didn't really interact a ton with other camera guys except the one that I'm working with on the property. So we were in this, kind of in this box where we don't know what's beyond and outside the ranch. We fly to the ranch, film our shoots, and we're out of there.
Yeah. And at this point, have you ever filmed any of your own hunts?
I don't think... No, I have not.
Okay. So
not at this point.
What is this project that you are doing with Vortex right now, this archery deer hunt that's going to be launched by the time this comes out? Was this the first time you've done that?
First time.
All right.
Yeah.
I love it.
2020, drop in July of 2025 is the word.
Yes.
But so taking all that production experience... Getting to the point where I get to work with Hunt Masters, understanding how to start developing story, freelancing more, working with other guides and hunters, and really start to build our portfolio. I just had this random thought one day. I'm like, man, I'm getting close to turning 40. I've never actually stepped in front of the camera for a hunt for myself. I wonder what that would be like, and I wonder if anybody would want to jump in on that. So I threw the idea. I think I was on the phone with Vortex originally. I was like, hey, would you guys have any interest in this idea? It's called Full Send 40. It's my midlife crisis hunt. I'm not buying the crazy sports car. Not bald yet. And then, but I am in need to do something significant before I turn 41. And my goal is I want to try to kill a deer with a bow in front of the camera to experience what that's like, because I have filmed a ton of dudes with bows.
Yeah.
And I see them get the jitters, or they'll miss a shot, or the shot's not very accurate. I'm like, what is wrong with these guys?
Because this had never happened. You've never harvested a deer at this point with a bow.
Never killed a deer with a bow before.
Okay. Have you harvested anything with your bow at this point?
I had never killed an animal with a bow. Animal. All I did was I bought a bow from Freddie, sat on the shelf for a long time. Once in a while I'd go out and throw some darts at the target in the backyard.
Yep.
But it was when I came up with this concept is like, in an absolute beginning learning curve, like learning the camera. Like I got to figure out how the bow operates. I'm around guys that shoot it. I see them tightening their sights and they're buying certain arrows and talking about fletchings and whatever these terminologies
is a whole new world for you.
Full can of worms. Yeah.
Okay. So the hustle starts.
And as I've mentioned, like I get kind of obsessed with learning new things. I want to try to get good at it. So I just start shooting arrows. And Greg had given me this really nice Matthews bow because we would make these fun challenges when we were filming the show of like whoever gets the best B-roll of the season, I'll give you my old bow because he gets upgraded for the shows with the new products. So he hooked me up with this bow. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to do my first archery deer hunt. I'm going to use this bow. I filmed a really cool elk hunt that he killed. You guys saw the one where he spines the elk?
Yeah. Okay.
See that.
And through a series of trying to reach around a certain tree to make that shot. He's not a bad shot. He's an amazing shot. It was just a situation where...
Scenario-based.
Very fortunate scenario and a spinal shot. But it was the coolest footage I felt like I'd ever captured on camera because that elk died and dropped like a sack of potatoes. Yeah. So I was like, cool, I get to use that bow that killed that elk on my first ever archery mule deer hunt.
Cool.
That's so cool.
And take it on its next little journey. So Vortex jumps on board. Then I reach out to you guys and just kind of go around to some of the wonderful brands that have supported some of our other projects that we've done over the years. It's like, all right, I'm gonna try to do this thing. I'm gonna try to get in front of a camera. I'm gonna try to learn everything about a bow, and I'm gonna do what I consider to be my most iconic hunt, which would be high elevation mule deer, because people talk about it. It's like the hardcore thing to do, and that was a little bit beyond what my dad and I did, right? It's always rifle season. I get 5 to 7 days and my hunt's over. So I'm like, nope, I'm going to take the prime window of September for archery, for myself. And my good buddy T had extended an invitation. He's like, if you ever want to go on a hunt, I would be absolutely honored to be the guy that takes you on your first archery hunt. And he's just an absolute beast on the mountain. Like you, Chris.
I don't know about that, but thanks for the compliment.
Absolutely. And he told me to put in for Utah. And part of that pitch to Vortex was I found out I had drawn in Utah for archery. Okay. So I was like, timing-wise, I got this bow. I've got a place to hunt. I've got a buddy that knows archery hunting that I can feel confident in going with. And now I have some brands that are actually all on board to like see what this rookie can do by not being the cameraman and jumping in front of it. So we got this film coming out in July. We're calling it Full Send 40. And as mentioned, my goal was to kill a buck before I turned 41. And I ended up getting it done 8 days before my birthday. Oh, wow. So I was like, yes.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was, I cannot explain the euphoric feeling that you get being that close to an animal with a bow shaking in your hand. And I filmed a ton of them. But when you put the pressure on yourself and you're trying to make a film and you want to deliver for the brands, that was the whole thing I wanted to take from it, is understanding what the hunters are usually doing. Because I'd be like, oh, that's a bad shot. Like, come on, I could have made that shot.
I remember like acting some of that stuff. I think actually,
like the pressure's totally different. It's just it's an experience that I can now have the relatability. Right? Yeah. Somebody has a kid. Yeah. If you haven't had your own kid, the relatability. You just don't understand the feeling you get in these different chapters of your life. So.
That's an incredible analogy, too, because for all of the parents out there that
100%
experience that moment with a bow in your hand, it's special. Yeah. It's very unique.
So take us through the moment you spotted the buck that you eventually ended up taking. Walk us through all that.
So we have... this is now my second trip to make this happen. So I went on a first trip. We did majority of the time we were scouting, had a couple of days of season kicking off. My head the whole time, I'm like, T's got eyes on this big, beautiful buck. T's our focus. We got to get a deer for the film. It's got to happen. I'll take back burner. And the whole time in T's head and to his wife, he's like, Clint's first priority. He's got to get this buck. So we're like secretively really rooting for the other guy. Right. And I'm trying to kind of like almost be resistant to take the focus to do it because I'm a little bit scared about the pressure of it. Yeah. And I know he's a killer. So I was like, let's get one deer down and that'll take a whole load of pressure off and then I can put more emphasis on what I'm doing.
So are you in cameraman headspace?
Yeah.
Sure seems like it, the way he's describing this. He's thinking
I'm like,
about
how do I
film.
tell the story? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And he's got eyes on these beautiful bucks, but you don't know. It's like when bucks are in velvet, as soon as they get into that session where they start to rub the velvet off, sometimes they go into the thick stuff and they're not so easy to glass up anymore. And so we were trying to first prioritize, like, we know there's bucks in this basin. Let's just see if we can get eyes on them for T to maybe make a play on one. And they just would not bed up in an area where it could happen. So I go home. I'm gone for a week to do some other projects I had lined on the calendar, and then I came back, and in the middle of that, T kills this monster bull with his bow. Of course, didn't get that on camera. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But we got some beautiful photos with him and his bull. So we get back, full immersion. We're still hunting, and we hiked up to, at least 2,500 feet in elevation, if not 3,000 feet. Like, we covered some pretty good ground.
That was of game,
to get up
correct?
into these, to get up in these big Utah basins.
Yeah.
And it's not so much not finding bucks, it's waiting for the bucks to make the mistake, right?
Right.
And I think T said something about like I'm just throwing this out there, I think it was like 1 in 14 stalks is actually probably the time you're going to kill one. Like 14 stalks? I haven't done one yet, and I got 1 week. The last week we were kind of focusing on you. I've got 7 days. I don't know if I'm going to get 14 stalks in. So I did a light stalk on some bucks at very last light on one of the evenings, just hope, like, let me try it out. Let's just see. And I got to 150 yards, and the buck like lays down in this open area. I'm like, I can't do anything with that.
Yep.
Worked my way out. Went to bed, and then the next day we went to check this basin where that big buck that T had been observing was, and he ended up spotting a different buck bedded down. And I'm sitting kind of behind him. There just happens to be a moose down below us, like 120 yards. So I'm like, I'm getting my camera out. I got to film this. He's like, put your camera down. There's a buck over here, and I want you to go after. I was like, what do you mean you want me to go after? I thought we were looking for your buck. He's like, no, I want you to shoot this one. So we sit there, and I'm like, okay, now it's like reality setting in. Like, oh my gosh, I might actually go and do a legit stalk right now. So we start navigating, looking at the landscape. He's like, you're going to go down to this draw. You're going to stay in this tree line. You're going to pop out, go to the shadow of that tree. You'll be in such and such a distance. So I'm like, all right.
And what time of day was this?
This is like, I'd call it mid-afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, so prime bedding time, right?
First or second bed for the deer, do you remember?
We'll call it second bed because I don't think they ever went anywhere after that. So we have eyes on a buck. We have a plan. I go to get to my backpack. I'm going to grab out just the essentials. He's like, here's my navy blue wool socks. You're going to need these when you get in close. And I put them in my back pocket. I looked over at Tino, like, he's not looking. Slip a GoPro into my pocket. So I can still film some stuff.
The cameraman.
Yeah. And we're juggling a little bit of this because we have guys filming this hunt, but their schedules are so fluctuate. What's the word? Their schedules were fluctuating so much that I couldn't have them there the entire time.
Okay.
And I think they were technically going to be coming back the next day. This just happened to be a window of opportunity. He's like, I'll film it with my phone scope. Don't worry. So I start making my way down, and right as I'm just about to get far enough away from T where I can't hear him, he's like, get back here. I see a different buck. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So now we have a contingency buck. We're like, if this one fails, we're going for this other one as a plan B because he just caught some tips to know it was at least something worth going after. So we make a little different plan. It's about 600 yards away from us. Big basin, one big tree, beautiful shadow, 60 yards, perfect from where this buck's bedded down. And I can walk. The wind was perfect. So I go around the bowl, and I drop down in there, and he's trying to explain to me about going slow and stealthy. I'm like, dude, I'm a camera guy. I've filmed some animals before. He's like, seriously, like, don't go too fast. Of course, I go trudging down there like a rookie. Because I'm more hopped up on energy.
Yeah, that's totally
fired up adrenaline.
On the other side of it, right?
I think I'm going at a pretty slow pace, but to him, he thought I was like
running
like a cheetah. I was like, what is he doing? So I get down to the tree. I build like this. We'll call it the hunter's little nest, right? You move the debris out of the way, try to make the soft dirt, anything that's not going to make noises for your bow to hit the twigs and everything. And I get set up, and I sat there for probably an hour. And the plan was to stay in the shade till the buck gets up. he's probably naturally going to feed uphill our direction based off of what we had observed in that area with some of those other scouting days.
And you're like 60 yards away.
60 yards. And I remember I see all the hunters do it, and I was like, get the rangefinder out and start just picking locations. That's 30 yards. That's 25 yards. That's 70 yards. So I have I create a really nice like half dome bubble around me of what I think the different distances are, just in case the buck comes out and I'm not ready to take a range or something. So we're sitting there, or I'm sitting there doing some little GoPro commentary, and T told me that if I can look back up at him with the binoculars, if he's not in the same spot, that means the buck has probably moved, and just to come hike back up there. And I look back, I was like, he's still there, buck's still there, okay. So I'm sitting there, I'm like waiting for this buck to come out. Wait another 30 minutes. I look back to T, and he's doing some hand signals. So I'm trying to like decipher. And he says, he gives me like the one signal in the air, one buck laying down, I think is what he said. One buck sleeping, and he's like, one buck walking. And I thought he wanted me to go sneak in closer for an opportunity because the buck was sleeping. So I think that's what he says. I hope I don't mess this up. I think that's what he says. So get out of my little nest, and I start creeping. And from my perspective, looking to the tree, it slopes steep enough. There's actually just a little bit of a hill bump that I have some pretty good coverage to at least cover like the bottom half. And I go creeping up to this spot. Forgot to put my wool socks on. Just going to throw that out there.
They're still in your back pocket at this point?
Still in my back pocket. Okay. Creep into my boots, and I get over to this spot, and I'm looking, and I can see that there's actually 2 bucks behind the tree. So now I'm like, he was telling me there's 2 bucks there, not for me to move forward. Dang it. And one you can tell is like laying down, licking itself, and the other one's up and doing something. I just got just enough where you can see their body language to try to pick up on what they're doing. And from the tree that I'm looking at, I'm now 30 yards in a good spot. I didn't feel comfortable going any further because I felt like I would get busted once my body's exposed beyond that. And one of the bucks steps out and does like licks his shoulder and steps back in. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the biggest buck I've ever killed in my life. And I'm just like, also the heart starts, your thoughts just start consuming your mind. I'm like, is this really going to happen right now? So I've got the arrow knocked, and where that buck stepped out, I was like, if he does that again, there's about a 4-foot gap, and there's kind of this little Christmas tree. I was like, I'm going to let him clear that. That'll be my chance to draw back while his eyesight is blocked. And wait a little bit. I can tell that other buck's still fidgeting around. So finally he comes out, and he goes behind this Christmas tree. I was like, oh, baby, this is going down. I draw that bow back, and he decides to sit there and start rubbing. And they're just like, they had just lost velvet, so they're hard antler, but still got the itch. Yeah. And he just starts rubbing in the tree, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. So I'm like, 40 seconds, 45 seconds. I'm really getting a little weak here.
To feel it.
So I have to let my bow down. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I can't even shoot. I have to let my bow down, and just that little subtle sound, the deer, it was definitely not enough to spook him, but enough to get his curiosity. He steps out and turns perfect frontal looking at me, and he's
still about 60.
He's kind of like 30 yards.
Oh, okay.
He's like, something ain't right over there. And I've filmed enough animals to know, especially mule deer, to know you can usually get away with quite a bit with their curiosity. So like, I'm going to draw my bow back because I had to just let it down. My arms are super tired still, but this might be the only opportunity I ever get to shoot at a deer. I can't believe it's already 30 yards. Like, I can't believe this happened. This is my first like official stalk I've ever done in my life. So I'm now like all I can to pull my bow back in slow motion, so the deer's looking right at me, and I'm just doing this wobbly figure 8. I'm like, oh baby, oh please hold still. My heart's just like, what's that cartoon? What's the mask? Like the heart's just coming where your chest. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, a frontal shot, typically you're not considering that to be an ethical shot, but at 30 yards I feel like I can shoot pretty good. And so I shoot, I miss his frontal, and it goes right along the edge of his body and skids and skips off his back butt cheek. It's just like, gives him like a 3-inch butt cut. Yeah. And he was just angled just subtle enough. So I just like, I don't know, 2.5 inches off. We'll do some deer measurements to try to figure it out. So the deer runs off, like hunts over, just ruined my entire opportunity. Shaking my head at myself.
To here.
Yeah, just like emotional roller coaster. And this buck runs off.
That's hunting too.
Yeah. And I know, I'm like 14 stalks. Okay, that was one. Made a bad shot. I got 13 more to go, and maybe I'll get it done. When that deer ran, he ran downhill and to my left, and that little buck that was with him bolts out to the right. I'm like, okay. I quickly reload an arrow as they're doing their hop off thing, and I duck down in a super uncomfortable position. And the bigger buck that I was trying to shoot at, he's looking over at his buddy. I'm all, is he maybe gonna he's probably gonna go meet up with his buddy, and then they're gonna bail out of there. But he might come back into an opening pocket where I have a chance. It's like, please work. So the position I'm in, I'm not moving at all. I'm just using my peripherals. I can see that deer here, and I can see this one down here below me. And I think the buck I shot at ran to, let's just say, 80-ish yards. So while I'm there, I quietly turned my yardage, and I turned it to, I think it was 50 yards, hoping that he would come to this gap. And this is where that super important part of checking your distances from where you were before. Because I had measured a certain tree over there. I was like, that thing's 100 yards. I'm not going to shoot that far. But when I closed in my 30 and then I started doing the calculations, I was like, okay, that buck, if he comes to this specific opening, he should be about 50 yards away.
Okay.
And he takes a step, kind of the curious, perking the head left and right. He's like, what's going on over there? Takes another little step, and there's this perfect branch right across his vitals, per usual, right? The one when you can't shoot, there's always that one bush.
Always.
And I'm like, if he takes one more step, I can take a shot. I was like, Lord, please, I'm praying right now. Just give him that one more step. Don't let him do what they do all the time. And he finally comes out. And so I do the same thing. He's looking straight at me, but I've been holding as still as I can. I'm going to do the slow motion pull again. So I pull my bow back. And he's just watched me like, what in the world's happening? But at this point, I've had enough time to calm my heart rate a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you got
get my composure. My arms aren't fatigued. It's been at least let's call it 2 minutes. It felt like 2 hours. And I get my bow back, and now I can tell I feel a lot more stable. And T had always given me this tip. He's like, to get your mind off of thinking how nervous you are, he would always say, hello, trigger. He just says that to himself, just to know it's there, so you don't jump the gun or anything. So I was like, hello, trigger, okay, good tip. And then stable and shot. The arrow flies. I go into blackout mode. I don't know if I hit him. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
And the deer runs off, I'd say 20 yards. I totally missed him again. You got to be kidding me. And then the deer comes back 10 yards and stands there for a second, and then he just falls over. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? No way. The fact that I was able to get the redemption on it, further distance, had a chance to get my composure, the whole nerves, the whole emotion, and then that euphoric feeling right then and there that you get just spiked through your body.
Oh, yeah.
That is why everyone buys an Initial Ascent backpack for the rest of their lives, because they're all just hooked on hunting. I cannot not think about archery hunting after that experience.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I want to go and do another one.
Oh,
that is so awesome.
It was so cool the way it all came together. And I was just, it's hard to talk about the emotion. When you have a kid and you feel that, it feels weird to compare the two, but the level of emotion you get there is so intense. I was like, I get it now. I understand why those guys get so worked up with a bow, close proximity to an animal, doing all those things. It's like, this is what I want. That's the whole thing I wanted to experience. Even if I didn't end up getting that buck, just the fact that I got to take a shot, do a stalk, I just wanted to know what that was all like. So
makes you a better cameraman too.
Oh, it absolutely
does. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that roller coaster is that is hunting to a T. That. It's something we always talk about is how those lessons translate to life. The ups and downs of that, you're exactly right. You can't explain it any other way than rather than if you've been there and been through it. It's the lowest of the low. Yeah. That opportunity happens and goes. I'm sure you were ready to throw your bow off the mountain.
Oh, I was frustrated at myself. Right?
You beat yourself up.
You made times I've sat on my knees taking that exact shot in my backyard.
Right.
as we say to everybody, you can take the backyard shot 1,000 times and hit that bullseye, but you put a live animal in front of you
100%.
and the pressure of sneaking in your heart. Like there's too many things. Like you can do wind sprints and push-ups, jump behind your bow. You can try to do some things to knock out some of the challenge of dealing with that when you're in the moment.
You need encounters, so you can't make them up. Like you just can't.
Right. And that's why I could see I was like 14 stalks. I get it.
Right.
I can understand why people have to work so hard at that type of hunting and how so many of them get blown.
Yeah.
Whether it's the wind swirls all of a sudden, like 30 yards is pushing it.
For sure.
When you're in a
With
windy basin.
Yeah.
I was just so blessed to have all the things work in my favor I would call it my first like legit deer stalk with a plan, a tactic, and then it all came together. And I look back and I got a big set of wool socks in my pocket.
Did you wave them at T?
Yeah, no, I should have, but he was just giving me so much crap about that. He's like, you didn't even put the socks on.
It's so cool because I talk about it all the time. Like getting in bow range of an animal is not easy, and you can do everything right, and it's still not go your way. Like that's what makes archery hunting so hard. And so for everything to happen the way it did for you, I think it's so awesome, so special. You'll never forget that.
I will never forget that. It's just a great testament to be like, all right, I had taken everything I learned over all the years from hunters and guides and T's knowledge, my bow buddies, and you culminate all that together to finally make a stock of your own.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that's great advice for the audience too, is I've just said that it takes encounters because it does. You've got to get experience, but you can get mental reps and other scenarios by doing other things, right? I mean, you're a perfect example of that. You got your composure after that scenario, brought it back together. So my question is, what was harder? Was it harder being behind the bow or behind the camera in that scenario?
In that scenario, the bow,
what's more difficult?
The bow 100%.
Okay.
And there's an exponential amount of weight on your shoulders too when you know you're doing a film.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because then you have an audience you don't want to disappoint. Most guys, gals are probably a little more like, how heavy is the story? But most guys are like, dude, I want to see a kill shot. If I'm going to put something in here.
You look at the algorithm or look at YouTube. Where is the spot that everybody fast forwards to? And
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
And granted, we did not have our main camera guy there on the spot. I don't know if I would have been comfortable with him going down to follow me to do that part. He probably would have stayed up with T. But in that moment, T managed to get the kill shot on the phone scope. And I was like, no way. We actually got it done. It's just like,
that's awesome.
So cool.
Well, and as a reminder, that link to the episode will be in the bio. So make sure you check out
Vortex
40.
Yeah, Vortex Nation YouTube.
Yep. Yeah,
and,
it's going to be.
we're excited. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and everyone shares it. And
what a story, man!
Yeah,
and
so
encourage somebody to. Yeah,
so cool.
I just hope it inspires one person to try something new.
Oh, it will.
Right? Conquer the fear. If there's something in your life that you're like, I want to do it, but you got some sort of resistance, just drop the resistance and do it. It's not gonna. What's the worst that can happen? You learn something new.
Right.
It only makes you a better person all around.
That's right.
So
I just put in, Idaho draw results, or Idaho draws will close on the 5th. And I just put in for this hunt that I've never put in before, and it's actually a mule deer archery hunt that's late season.
Nice.
Okay, so it'd be like November to December.
Post rut, you're just
post rut,
tail end of the rut.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hearing this story, I'm like, golly, I kind of hope I don't draw. Because I want to get out there first part of September and go find one of these early velvet bucks, high country type deals. I want to do the same thing Clint did.
Man, when you see the guy, like I had a picture, man, when you see the guy that's walking across the rocks and there's the deer bedded below the rock face. Yeah. Like that was like what I would dream of to happen.
Yeah. That's your pinnacle. That's the top of it for you.
But just seeing that type of a stock to me, getting in like that is so cool.
That's awesome. I think about guys like Brian Barney and South Cox, watching those films, where those dudes are doing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And, Brian, he's probably one of the best hunters I know.
Yeah. I agree.
Especially when it comes to early season mule deer. Yeah. And, man, just visualizing that is so cool. And the fact that you did it on your first stalk.
No pressure.
Not
Yeah.
not just the first hunt, but your first stalk.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's so unique.
So cool.
You just set that bar pretty high for yourself.
I think I did. And I actually have an elk archery tag for September.
You do?
Because I got hooked on this whole
Yeah,
archery
that's
thing.
right.
Yeah. And I managed to weasel my way in and got a tag in Idaho. So
That's awesome.
I was like, why put the baton down now?
No,
Heck yeah.
no, you're
Going.
running. Send it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
you know
I got some years to make up for. I've been filming everybody else.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
take a couple weeks off. That was the big
I agree.
realization.
That's
hey, it's
cool.
okay to take a little bit of time for myself. I've worked
Yeah.
pretty hard trying to just
Yeah,
build
absolutely.
the business. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm looking forward to
That's
it.
good, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, we end the show before we actually close it. We got a little special segment, Dennis. If you don't
Rapid
mind.
fire. Okay,
Okay.
so it's going to be basically one or the other, and it is so quick. Okay, we're going to ask you 6 or 7 questions.
Okay.
And
We're talking
they're
like
gonna be-
pizza or steak.
Yeah,
Boys or
different
girls.
different
Yep.
things like that. I mean, so
Okay.
yeah, just the first thing that comes to your mind. No explanations. We're just it's rapid fire. Okay, Netflix or YouTube,
YouTube.
elk or deer,
Deer.
text or call,
Text.
McDonald's or Taco Bell,
Ooh, 50-50. We'll do Taco Bell.
early bird or night owl,
Night owl.
camo or solid.
Solid.
Okay, now I'm going to try to age myself just a little bit. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar.
Who are they?
Okay,
Wait, seriously, who are they?
Van Halen. Come on, man. Okay, what kind of music do you like?
I listen to a
Everything.
variety pack, but I am so bad at remembering artist names.
Okay,
So bad. I love music. I've listened to Van Halen. I love Van Halen. But
do you like
you
country
throw
music?
names at me? Some?
Oh shoot, I was going to go there, but yeah, no, we won't.
We're talking like Tim McGraw or Faith Hill. I'd go Faith Hill.
We'll end on that.
There you
Got
go.
his own rapid fire. I love it.
Oh, thank you guys.
perfect.
Appreciate
Thank you,
letting
man.
me be on this podcast.
Thanks for coming in,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah, man. It's awesome having you
this
here,
was
bud.
cool. Your
Well-
packs are great. Like everything we do out in the field, I have no complaints. Product's great. We just love what we do, and
Yeah.
when you can have a good product on your back that you can depend on, that makes the hunt even better. So yeah, you guys keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so
You
much.
do the same.
You did have
You
a
keep
complaint.
doing
We
what you're
just cut
doing.
that part out.
Well, remember, you can find the link description to the Vortex Nation YouTube channel for the full Send 40 film. It'll be in the bio. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and to the Vortex Nation YouTube channel with that. Clint, where can our audience find you other than that?
Great question. We have revelentertainment.com. Funny part is when we created the word Revel, it's actually the word lover backwards. So now I reference, I'm like, if you can remember lover backwards, revelentertainment.com, at Revel Entertainment for Instagram, I think for Facebook. You can track us down, but that's
Perfect.
the best way.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Clint.
Thank you guys.
Until next time, keep your eyes on the summit. This is the Mountain Dude Podcast, signing off.